on my last season on Discovery Plus of my 600.
Hi fasters, welcome to Old, Fat, and Fasting. I'm Krista and this is my sister Lori. We are old, we are fat, and we are fasting. And we both fast for weight loss and for health. Before we start today's episode, we want to emphasize that everything we're going to talk about today came from this book, Life in the Fasting Lane. One of the authors is a guy that we both kind of fangirl over, Jason Fung, kind of the fasting guru. And we want to make sure that we put our little disclaimer in here that because a lot of the stuff today we're going to talk about, it's not intended as medical advice. It's not intended as diagnosing anything. It's for education purposes, and we suggest talking to your doctor before you implement any of it.
Today is part 6. Is that right, Krista?
Yes.
Part 6 in our series of How Do I Start Fasting? And the first topic we're going to talk about is on exercising. Exercising benefits more than your muscle tone. It benefits your brain, your breathing, your cellular composition, your digestion, your flexibility, your heart, your lungs, your mental health, your move. In case you're gonna, move somewhere, your mood, and your stamina. But you want to exercise for those reasons, and you don't want to do it for weight loss. Weight loss isn't about calories in and calories out. Exercise burns calories. It doesn't burn fat. Fasting burns fat. 12 hours of fasting, your body starts to break down and burn fat, and by 18 hours, you have switched to a fat burning mode. Oh, Chris, I had a little bit of a headache today, and I don't, apparently it's just all falling apart between my brain and my mouth this morning. Or maybe I just need more coffee.
Exercising does burn calories, and I highly recommend reading Life in the Fasting Lane if you want to understand the whole thing about why calories in, calories out doesn't work.
On page 159, it says exercise won't help you lose weight, and Krista was saying, please read the book, because we could literally read a whole chapter from the book for this episode, but that won't work. But here's another line from the book. It says, obesity is hormonally regulated, so it doesn't matter how many minutes you spend on the treadmill.
Right.
If you're eating the wrong foods too often and not giving your body a chance to burn fat, you're not going to lose any weight. Yes, you can exercise your muscles, but you can't exercise your hormones. Losing weight, it's in our control, but it has to do with what and when we eat. Dr. Fung says to exercise on an empty stomach because your insulin levels are down, but your growth hormones, there you go, levels are up, which gives you more energy. Eating after working that hormone level stays high, which helps rebuild muscle. And I loved this. He does analogies, which is very much my thing.
Yes.
And he said, would you rather wrestle with a hungry lion or a lion who's just stuffed himself with a big, juicy antelope? You'd never choose the hungry lion because he'd be fierce, fast, and out for the kill.
There you go.
And exercising times what will work for some will not work for others. I know they said a lot in the book that some people prefer to fast when they're hungry, when they're fasting, and others prefer to do it when they are full. But I think I would probably tend to go with Dr. Osborne. Dr. Osborne, that's my doctor. Dr. Fung. Oh,
yeah, I have heard some people say that like they're just like nauseous if they try to exercise when they're hungry. So, it's another one of those things. Just, that is the recommendation, but you do what works for you.
Yeah, and especially when you're new to
Yeah.
fasting with exercise, because exercising makes you hungry.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you're probably going to feel a little weak,
Yeah.
until your body adjusts to, you know,
Going without food.
yeah, having your body eat its fat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
So
have to,
exercise is important, but it's important for overall health, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
not for weight loss. And I know for me, I have a ton of energy when I wake up of a morning, and then I get less motivated to do everything as the day goes on.
Yeah.
Which Chris and I have tried to record these episodes in the night, and both of us are just like, doesn't work at night, just doesn't work at night.
Yep. My brain's
So
done.
yeah, so exercising, I would think, is for me probably going to be a morning thing, and I'm very routine. I'm a very routine person. So
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of people like to do it first thing in the morning also, because if they try to fit it into the day later, that never happens because you get busy.
I'm tired.
So yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Fung on page 161 in the book says, excuse me, I often encourage, this goes with what you were saying, Sissy. I often encourage people to work out first thing in the morning on an empty stomach because they already have all the fuel their body needs. At 4 a.m., your body experiences a surge of hormones that allows glucose to enter your bloodstream. When you wake up to work out at 6 or 7 a.m. or any time in the morning, your body is still burning that glucose. You don't need to eat.
Yeah.
So that goes with exactly what you were saying, just more Dr. Fung detail.
Yeah.
Usually you're the one that drops his name all the time. It's me today. But a lot of my stuff was quotes from the book. So when you do decide, or if you do decide to exercise, you want to start out with baby steps. You don't want to sign up for that, 5K run. It can be something as simple as starting with morning stretches and nighttime
Yeah.
stretches, or
Yeah.
yoga, walking in place. It is anything under 5,000 steps is considered sedentary.
Right.
But that's a big jump for people that are sedentary to set that goal day one to do 5,000 steps.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
set a step goal if that's what you're going to do that you can achieve, so you get that accomplishment. You don't have to buy expensive equipment. You don't have to sign up for a gym. There's all kinds of things you can do, just right at home.
Yeah, I know last time I recently started working on how many steps I'm getting each day. And right now I'm going for 3,000 a day. And I'll probably do what I did last time, which is each week I'll look at how many steps I took each day the week before. And if I did at least 3,000 at least 5 days that week, then I'll bump up the number for the next week a little bit.
Oh, that's smart. You all can walk at your mall.
Yeah.
Most malls, the malls in where Krista lives and the mall where I live, the mall opens before the stores do. So you can go in there and walk, or walk up and down the stairs in your house, or
Yep.
up and down the hallway.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I think you've done the same thing before. I just do laps around my apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our downstairs is shaped sort of like a donut. The pantry and the bathroom are in the middle. And I once figured out how many laps I had to do to get my steps. And my Fitbit, and Krista's does too, has a reminder to move, where if you don't do 250 steps in an hour, it'll vibrate on your wrist. And I would just get up, and I was usually crocheting is why I wasn't walking.
Yep. Yep.
So I would just get up, and I always had the TV on when I would crochet. So I would just get up and, swing my arms and get those however many steps I needed. And that made sure that I got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good idea.
We wanted to share some exercise tips with you all that also came from this book. The first tip they give is to make sure that you get something that works into your budget. Don't go join an expensive gym if you don't have it. Don't buy that 5,000, hello, Misty, that $5,000 piece of equipment, unless you have $5,000 to buy that piece of equipment. Just make sure you get something that works in the budget, or else it's just going to add stress. It's going to make it less fun, and you can really do everything at home.
Yep.
Or your mall, or
Yeah.
walking outside, whatever it is you want to do. There, I forgot what I watched one time, and they had them start out with lifting weights with just like the bottled water that you buy and you drink,
Oh, yeah.
of curling those. And I think
Yeah.
after that, they went to like cans of vegetables or something. So
Yep.
there's all kinds of very budget friendly ways to exercise.
Yes.
And another thing is to make sure that whatever you do is something that fits into your schedule. You don't want to sign up for those classes that, start at 5 and you get off work at 4:30 and you just
Right.
can't get there on time. And the next thing is to make sure you do something that you enjoy. I don't know how many times in my life, other than in my early 20s, when I really like to exercise, that I have signed up for a gym membership and it was a waste of money, because a gym is just not something I enjoy anymore.
Yep.
So
And
make
they
sure,
keep taking that money out every month, but you're not going.
yeah, it's like, hey, I didn't go. Hey, that's not our fault.
Right.
So make sure whatever it is you do, whether it's going to the gym or yoga classes or a spin class or swimming, whatever, make sure you pick something that you enjoy. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
The next thing was what we talked about earlier, is to think about focusing on strength over cardio.
Yeah.
You can do cardio if that's what you enjoy doing. Krista really enjoys walking, going for walks and stuff. Not really my cup of tea. It's really hot and humid here. That's not something I do. But Krista, if you get bored with walking, that goes to the next one, and that's don't get bored. If you get bored with something, switch it up. I'm tired of walking, start yoga, or just make sure you switch it up, because if you get bored, it's going to become a chore, and you don't want it to be a chore. You want it to be something that you really like. The next exercise tip is your mood. Is there one exercise that seems to make your mood increase? Do you feel better if you lift weights? Do you feel better if you go for a walk? Because that is motivation enough to keep doing it, and just good for your overall health mentally and physically.
Yeah.
The next tip is to get a buddy. You can find somebody to exercise with, just like Krista and I hold one another accountable for our fasting, and you're there for support. If you can find somebody to exercise with that would be your exercise buddy, to make sure you get in that car. That was my big thing, is just couldn't get motivated to go out the door. But if you can find somebody to help hold you accountable and you can help hold them accountable, it's really good. We even said in an episode just about fasting in general, when I go out of town, and we can't talk every day. And something else to look at when you exercise is, does it seem like you do better exercising when you're fasting or when you're fed? And we talked about that earlier in the video, and the book will say some people feel better doing it when they're on a fast, and other people feel better doing it on a full stomach.
The most I've done so far is walk, basically.
Well, and that goes to the last thing that I wrote on my notes. You said just walk, or whatever, however it was you just worded it. It doesn't matter if your limit is 500 steps a day.
Right.
Your thing is to go up and down the steps once in your day, or to lift the bottles of water. You are lapping, no matter how many steps you are lapping, everybody's sitting on the couch.
Right. Right.
So,
and it's better than all those days that you have spent sitting on the couch.
Yes.
Yeah. So
just do something and improve it a little bit.
Yeah. Any exercise just improves your health overall.
Yeah.
So, Another tip for you when you're fasting is to make sure you drink lots of water. And I'm going to read right off the page from this, because I always get it wrong when I try to do it from memory. This is from Life in the Fasting Lane. Of course, it says thirst is also frequently mistaken for hunger. So drink when you feel hungry too. So drink when you feel thirsty and drink when you think you're hungry because you might actually need some water. Uh, and he also says at the beginning of this, how much water you need varies from person to person. So there's no magic number that applies to every single person. Registered dietitian slash nutritionist that my mother likes and that I like too because she does a lot of work with gut health, which is something I'm always working on. Her name's Casey Farlow. And one thing, a formula that she has is to like take your body weight and divide it in half. So say you weigh 200 pounds, half of that is 100, drink at least 100 ounces of water a day. And up to the number of ounces. I don't know if Casey Farlow says this, but I've heard this up to the number of ounces that's equal to your body weight. So between 100 and 200 ounces of water a day. One guideline that you can use, this is the one that my doctor told me one time when I asked her how much water should I be drinking, is sorry if this is a distasteful subject for some people, but the color of your urine will tell you if you're hydrated. If you're dehydrated, it's going to be a dark yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, if you go to the bathroom and it's dark yellow, go drink some water. And if you're hydrated, it'll be like a pale yellow. If you're actually drinking too much water, it'll be clear. So if you go to the bathroom and it's clear, then you can back off the water for a little bit. I'm not talking about like for a day, but you don't need to drink water for the next couple of hours or something, because if it's clear, then there's the possibility that you're like flushing out your electrolytes too. So just back off the water for a couple of hours and then have some more. And I literally adjust my water intake based on the color of my urine. I really do the thing where if I go to the bathroom and it's dark yellow, I go drink a couple of glasses of water, you know?
Yeah.
So that's just an easy way to know if you're getting enough water. We want to talk about a couple of symptoms that you can get, the most common ones that people have when they're fasting. One is headaches. This is a pretty common one with people. I think Dr. Fung actually said that he had headaches when he first started fasting in some video I watched the other day. And usually when that happens, sorry, my phone just dinged. It told me something was about to be delivered.
My phone dinged a little while ago. It was our brother.
Oh, and let me insert our little disclaimer here. We're not doctors. We're not saying that this is always the case, okay? But because there's lots of reasons you get headaches. But a lot of times when you get a headache when you're fasting, it's a sign that your sodium level is low in your body. And there's lots of ways to fix that. A lot of people just put a pinch of salt in their water. And they drink the water, and if their headache still isn't gone, they get a little more to the water. I've never had this issue, but from people that Lori has, from people that I've heard of that do have this issue, and you can tell me if it's the case for you, when they do that, I mean, the headache usually goes away pretty quickly.
Less than a minute. I don't do the fasting salt. Steve does. I do the pickle shots.
Yeah.
And I'll do that, and it's less than a minute.
Yeah.
Same thing if I'm feeling weak.
Yeah. And the pickle shots, you all should go watch. If you want to learn more about electrolytes, we've got a whole video we did on electrolytes, and we really go in depth on here's the symptoms if you're low on this, and if you're low on this, here's the symptoms and how to fix each one.
Yeah.
So Lori does pickle shots. And that's what works for her. Another thing people do is they just put a little salt under their tongue or on their tongue. And, and that works for them too. So whatever works for you. And this is a total tangent, but I just thought of it. Sometimes when I'm fasting and I'm tempted to eat something, and Lori's going to go, ew. I do put a little salt on my tongue, And for some reason, that helps. I don't know what it is. I guess, I don't know. So anyway, those are a couple of things that you can do for headaches. One thing I did want to talk about too is if you want to take something for your headache, I and the writers of Life in the Fasting Lane recommend Tylenol instead of ibuprofen. Ibuprofen and any NSAID, which is things like Advil, Motrin, Aleve, aspirin, are very hard on your stomach, and you definitely don't want to take them when you don't have something in your stomach because they're just that much harder on your stomach then. There have been occasions where I have taken ibuprofen while I'm fasting, but what I do is I take some Mylanta or something that coats my stomach before I take it, so it's not so hard on my stomach, and that has worked for me. And even if I take it during my eating window, and I put a little bit of food in my stomach first. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that when they take it during their eating window. I just have a history of a lot of stomach problems. Another side effect that you can get that isn't so pleasant for you or other people is, to my knowledge, I've never had this problem, but a lot of people do, is bad breath. Yeah. And Lori even gets like a nasty taste in her mouth. So you might get that too. And the reason that happens is because when you're fasting, your body goes into ketosis, which means it's burning your fat for energy. But when it does that, it releases ketones, and the ketones come out of your body through your urine or through your breath, and they don't smell so good.
Yeah, or taste.
Yeah, or taste so good. So you might have that issue too. And I mean, there's a million ways to fix that. You can brush your teeth more often. I think Lori has said she does mouthwash. She has like sugar-free mints, sugar-free gum.
Yeah,
You know.
I keep one of the travel size mouthwashes in my purse.
Yeah, so any of those usual things you do for bad breath, you can do.
And we will brush our teeth throughout the day.
Yeah.
That does help with this. But another thing, just adding a little tip in here is, I forgot where I read it, but if you're hungry, brush your teeth, because a lot of times just changing the palate, the taste in your mouth cools your stomach.
Well, yeah, and I feel like when my mouth feels nice and fresh and clean, I like that feeling, and I don't want to mess it up.
Don't want to ruin it.
Yeah. Another question a lot of people have when they start fasting is, can they keep taking their supplements? And this is one of those things that there's no flat yes or flat no question or answer. So I'm going to read right from the book again for a second here. It's on page 133 of Life in the Fasting Lane. Supplements hinder autophagy. And I want to stop there for just a second. We don't typically talk about autophagy. We focus on weight loss. So,
but I love autophagy. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, and we'll do probably several videos on autophagy. When fasting for metabolic reasons, which is what we're talking about, the effectiveness of supplements is questionable. Most vitamins are fat soluble, but if you're not taking in fat, they won't be as effective. Probiotics are fine to continue while fasting. So probiotics are fine because, well, maybe I should actually start with what fat soluble means, which is fat soluble means if a vitamin is fat soluble, that means that it needs to be taken with food because it requires fat from the food to actually be absorbed in your body. So if you're taking it while you're fasting, your body probably is not going to absorb it. And then there's water soluble vitamins, which it doesn't need food with it. You can take it anytime. You can take it on an empty stomach and your body's going to use it. And then the second difference between the two is fat soluble vitamins. If you take more than you need, it stores the excess in your fat. So that's also another reason we've talked about before, you aren't malnourished when you fast. I think the book says it can store excess vitamins in your fat for up to 6 months. So when you're fasting and you go into ketosis and it burns all that fat, it's also releasing everything that was in that fat. It's releasing the ketones, but it's also releasing the vitamins. For women who are still premenopausal, it can release hormones that are trapped in that fat. So that's why you're not malnourished when you fast. Major vitamins that are water soluble, so you can take them anytime, are vitamin B and vitamin C. The ones that are fat soluble, so you need to take them with food, so take them during your eating window, are A, D, E, and K. And the probiotics are okay because they just work different. So probiotics are just released in your gut. They don't need the fat in order for your body to use them. The last thing we want to talk about that will make a big difference in how you feel, I would say mentally, for lack of a better word, during your fast, is just stay busy. Especially in the beginning, you're always gonna feel the hunger, but you're not gonna notice it as much as you
Right.
after you do it for a while. But in the beginning, you're not used to feeling hungry, and it might drive you crazy, to be
And the
honest.
anticipation of, am I going to feel hungry?
Yeah, seriously, if you're busy, it seriously helps. So I think I used an example one time of the hunger being like an emotion, right? So if you're angry, like I'll go for a walk if I'm mad, or I will get my mind on something else, right? You distract yourself, so that you don't obsess with whatever you're angry about, right?
Yeah.
So just do the same thing when you're fasting. I think Lori said the other day, do a Sudoku puzzle, or
Anything, yeah, that keeps
work a
your brain.
jigsaw puzzle, or I watch Jeopardy sometimes, or just don't sit there and binge watch something you've watched 500 times that you don't even have to use your brain.
Or what?
Do something that gets your mind engaged, so you're not thinking about how hungry you're feeling.
That does wrap this episode, unless there's anything you want to add on.
Nope, I think I'm
nothing
good.
either. I got nothing either.
All right.
So we'll end it up by saying goodbye. Hope we were able to teach you some things today. And I always learn stuff from Krista. So hit the like and subscribe button. We would appreciate it. And leave comments, questions, suggestions. We're learning. It's a lot better, we hope, now than it was when we started. But we're still giving ourselves a huge learning curve. That's all, right?
Yeah. And we do want to hear the good and the bad.
We do.
Lori and I both are like, we love constructive criticism.
Yes.
I mean, like she said, we're learning, and you can't get better at anything unless somebody tells you what you're doing wrong. So
Steve and I call that "Don't American Idol me."
I remember you saying that. Yes, the people who get on and they're like, my mom says I have the voice of an angel.
Oh, your mom's a liar. So yeah, don't American Idol us.
Yeah. Tell us what you love and what you hate.
Yeah, or things you'd like us to do an episode on.
Yeah. Or if you have questions about something we said today, or just anything.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it all.
Help us get better.
Yeah.
But that's all. Thanks for listening and watching, or whichever platform you were using today. Yep. And we'll see you next time. Happy fasting, everybody.
Bye-bye.